Hello, beautiful souls. For those of you who read my community page, you're aware that I mentioned receiving a download of several informative topics that I plan to share in upcoming videos. Well, one of those topics was the Matrix. In fact, some of you may have noticed that there's a lot of conversation right now going on among the Starseed community about the Matrix and whether it's possible to somehow hack into the system and disarm it. However, what I didn't realize until recently was that many light workers are now speaking out and saying that they're tired of waiting for this to happen. And if it's not possible, then what's the use of being here? Well, this really surprised me. And maybe this is why that was the first topic that my guides brought up to me recently. The computerized system that we call the Matrix and how it has been affecting humanity for thousands and thousands of years. Well, in order to discuss this in any detail, we first have to understand that this world, this planet, our reality, is not what it appears to be. It is, in fact, a simulated reality, a hologram. And you, as a creative being, are constantly affecting this reality with your ideas and perceptions of belief, your opinions of not only what you see, but how you feel about what you're seeing. It may not seem like it, but you really are the one in your universe. You, as a conscious being, influence every part of your own existence, altering reality through your thoughts. As such, it is you who decides if this is a friendly or unfriendly place. So, if this is my universe and I'm responsible for what happens within it, why do I see the same things as my neighbor sees? Well, you actually do not see what your neighbor sees, but you do agree on what you're both seeing. For example, you may both agree that you see a blue car, but what you see as blue and consider to be blue may be a very different interpretation of what your neighbor sees as blue. But to simplify, your reality and your neighbor's reality appear to be the same because you are living in a consensual reality, which is in part due to the field of the Matrix. I'll go into that later. You and your neighbor are in the same programmed illusion, the same dream. This is the way it's been set up. And before you came into this life, you agreed to accept the system as it is and had the confidence that you could use your own free will to adjust it to your preferences. The problem is when you came in, you forgot all that. So to go on and explain what's been happening here without our awareness, it's really necessary to describe what the Matrix is and why is it so significant to our ascension. As most of you know or have suspected, Earth and all of its inhabitants are being controlled and affected by a digital matrix located on what we think of as our moon, which is not a moon at all, but a huge Andromedan ship. This matrix was first put into place on the moon by the Galactic Federation over 12,000 years or more. It's a computerized program designed as a hologram, which is projected toward the Earth. This is why the moon looks as it does, rather than the big round metal sphere that it really is. It is actually a huge starship. The planet-looking surface of the moon is just a hologram. The matrix is a 3D holographic field that was placed over the 5D Earth as a control grid to keep in the negative reptilians. It is a great force field of electromagnetic energy, known by most as the Van Allen belts that surround the Earth. It's like a 3D wall that you can't go through without technology that can control frequencies. The Earth began in 5D, just as everything else in our galaxy. The entire 5D reality works through the concept of the law of attraction. What you ask for through your beliefs and desires will come to you. And this works much faster in 5D than in 3D. Another reason to learn to control our thoughts and emotions as we grow and evolve toward ascension. Well, because these computers lowered the frequency, everything inside became set to a heavy density. And as the humans reacted out their fears and anger of what was happening, the matrix would read those negative thoughts and emotions of the humans and bring together like frequencies. And this built up a reality that reflected those anxieties and terrors. So until very recently, most humanity has been oblivious to this program and how it works through negativity, and how this has brought about the world as it is today, with all its chaos and suffering for generation after generation, for thousands of years. At the same time, this electromagnetic wall holds us all in. It also works to keep out the astral realm with its ghostly creatures and parasitic thought forms and created through the fears and phobias of humanity. Unfortunately, the frequency of humans, even most starseeds, is not high enough to get through that force field. This is what the ascension is all about. This is the escape hatch. When we raise our frequency enough, the matrix can no longer hold us prisoner. What we need to know most here is that this computerized force field is extremely old technology and has been failing for many years. It originally existed of 4 computers producing this holographic program. But now, over time, only one of those original 4 computers is still working. This is why we've seen so many glitches over time, like unusual phenomena and the weaving in and out of realities, or temporarily making visible the ghostly entities from the astral realm, or even moments where everything appears to briefly go out of focus and then, or even stop time. This is also one of the factors within what we are calling now the Mandela effect, where the books and movies that we grew up with are suddenly changed with different wording than the original. This even includes some of the advertisements and songs that now suddenly have different slogans or lyrics. And if you go back and try to find the original, you will find that it's always been the way it is now. And yet, you and millions of others have a clear memory of something very different. Freaky, right? Oh. Anyway, when this matrix force was turned on, it was successful in keeping the reptilians in, but unfortunately imprisoned the entire population of humans, who sadly became collateral damage, so to speak, trapping those innocent Lyrians onto the planet and taking their memories and dampening their connection to home, to source. Then, because this computerized system was flawed, it got hacked by those who wanted to control and enslave the race of Lyrians, or humans. And in their cunning, used the very concept of the matrix itself against the people, and through mind control, used the negative law of attraction to, for example, make people believe in aging and think that they only had 80 years or less to live. And as each generation observed those they loved aging and dying, this became their own fears, their own truth. Since the majority of people are unaware of this attraction, they have been manifesting their lives by default. Consciousness is not in the body. It works through the body. You are not here. You are only perceiving here now. Yet you believe you are limited. And this is how the reptilians hacked the system. As mentioned, the matrix computers read your thoughts and emotions, and those matching frequencies come together. The problem on Earth, the problems are the external mirror of a broken and tortured self. What controls the people of Earth is what they believe in. What you truly ask comes to you, although not necessarily as you meant or expected it to. Even before the Matrix was installed, the Earth was a place for ETs to come for an adventure that they wouldn't have anywhere else. And that included circumstances that might bring the incarnated ET great pain. It was set up that way. The Matrix has changed some of that, but not everything. Remember, the Matrix gives us what we ask for. That means it can be used just as well to create a heaven on earth, as well as to create a world full of mindless zombies. It's a personal choice. And this is what I would like to demonstrate to you right now. What if I were to suggest that for some, the Matrix has virtually been turned off, and for others, it's still working? Hear me out. Okay. The Galactic Federation and other ETs above in their starships have technology to insert within the hologram of Earth various objects and even frequencies that affect the thoughts and actions of humanity. For example, some buildings that are used for certain regulatory management, like those for political or governmental functions, are projected into the matrix reality as desired by those ruling above. Well, for example, if they see the need to insert a program to shut down nuclear devices, they can do this. Or to stop a violent demonstration. Or to create a vision of Christ in the sky. Or to bring an entire city to a halt. Or to delay a situation maybe that would bring potential disaster to a vulnerable area, and so on. You know, so many ask, why don't the ETs ever come and help us? Well, they do all the time, every day. We just never know about it. So, why can't the matrix just be turned off? I mean, what would happen anyway? Well, if it was suddenly shut down or failed completely, you would see this planet and the skies as they really are. Well, to begin with, the moon would appear as a huge silvery gray round ball, a lot like the Death Star in Star Wars, but without the circular super laser dent. But the skies above would be filled with ET ships, more than you could count. Some buildings and people would disappear in a blink, and others would appear as if out of nowhere. Countless ETs and interdimensional beings who are on the planet cloaked in human-looking holographic suits would be revealed to be very strange, unique-looking extraterrestrial humanoids or reptilians or maybe even dragons or an elongated slug-like body with tentacles when they're uncloaked. Talk about a freak out. Wow. You know, the neighbor you always talk to on your walks may, without the matrix, suddenly appear as a great, gigantic cat being. This is because their human cloak technology is fused to the matrix frequency. And when they're back in 5D frequency, they return to their original body. Entire neighborhoods, malls, warehouses, and such would either disappear or be unveiled for what they truly are. Maybe an enormous hangar for starships of all sorts that have been invisible to human eyesight. You would see other beings appearing in your house, in your home, or yards, or weird animals or entities walking down the street. These beings are always here now. It's just that you usually can't see them because the matrix force field is cloaking them. Okay. So, now maybe you can see why it isn't the current plan to suddenly shut down the matrix. However, that said, I would like to suggest to you that the matrix has been turned off and it has been turned back on. To explain, this Earth is and always has been an experiment. Although there have been a few resets over these countless eons of time, when it began, this planet was a playground for ET souls to come and have a seemingly physical experience or adventure. Somewhat like the holodeck on Star Trek. The planetary, well, the domain or the field itself would have its own composition or purpose. And within this realm, the ET could create a blueprint for the game that they planned on taking part in, programming in all the particulars that they hoped to confront. After their game ended, they would go back and report to the council or to the Federation and their family race what they thought of their adventure and what they learned and how they might change it and so on. Well, this all worked very well for a while until the playing field of the experiment was altered. And in some ancient civilizations, had to be reset. In others, such as our current game, has not yet gone through the complete reset. What we're now seeing is the end of this particular game and the beginning of another on the new earth. The way this current game was set up was as an ascension game, where those who come in have lost their memories and will now have the opportunity through determination and intention to work their way back up through the densities to ascend back into the realm in which they came. This is called the awakening. The game is filled with obstacles, monsters and bad guys that will have to be defeated or overcome. And right now, this game is set at the most difficult level. So it's a game only for the brave and determined, and those not prone to depression. And as an aside, the reason so many of you are feeling like you're the only one of your family or friends who cares anything about learning truth and expanding your heart and soul with love and light and creating a better world is because the others who have no interest are, for all intents and purposes, non-player characters in your game. They are just living their lives as backfill people in your own movie. Well, now, here I'm going to have to ask you to consider the impossible, the unimaginable. And if the following is too far out for you to see as having any validity at all, then you have my permission to regard it all as fiction. Just another plot for the next sci-fi adventure. So, over these eons, since the Matrix has been in place, there have been glitches and other problems that those overseeing the planet have had to address in very creative ways, and on rare occasion have found it necessary to close down the world for a time so that they could make adjustments and repairs. Yes, to switch it off, the world, to switch it off for maintenance, so to speak. Okay, for example, there was a time when there was a war in the heavens, and the threat to humanity and the planet was imminent. The negative race had broken through the force field, and their plan was to annihilate the humans and take over the planet. The benevolent universal factions agreed that they would secretly perform a complete shutdown of the entire planet, putting every person, being, and animal into a state of stasis, while they made repairs and created a portal in which to withdraw and take into custody all of the negatives and then restart the restored matrix. They have the power to do this, to stop time, where all life, all of humanity is put into a deep sleep, a sort of suspended animation, and will awaken back into the same moment they left. It's like the blink of an eye, and from their perspective, nothing has happened. And yet, everything in truth has happened. There were other emergency situations where this or a similar method was practiced. Let's take another of these impossible scenarios. For example, a time when, because the moon exerts a pull on the earth and its tides and so on, to prevent disastrous earth changes like a pole shift, it was necessary to move the moon or the starship to a safer alignment so that these calamities would not occur. Again, all of the planet was put into a temporary stasis while this maneuver was performed. I know, this sounds really out there. But you got to remember, this is a projected reality. So what might seem impossible by us little humans is done regularly by those who monitor and keep our world safe from the ignorance who might decide to detonate a nuclear bomb just for the heck of it. So remember, this is not just the beautiful little planet of trees and oceans and flowers and people. It is a hologram that we have bought into as real. And this doesn't make it any less significant because, as always, the most important thing is our experience. This is how we learn and grow. So, what can I say to those starseeds now who are disappointed because the Matrix is still in control and might be for the rest of their lives? Well, starseeds have within them an ethereal implant that allows their star families to track them and keep them safe when possible. So please understand that just as the reptilians hacked the Matrix, we can do the same thing, only the opposite way. Just as the Matrix was used against us by the reptilians, we can now use the Matrix to ascend and leave this planet forever. Remember how it works. The Matrix works on the principle of the law of attraction. Let that work for you. So, what happens when a powerful creator sits down and imagines her ascension? She ascends. This is the way out. When your frequency is higher than the Matrix, its force field cannot keep you in, and you can go wherever you wish. Imagine it, and it is yours. Well, this computerized system has been malfunctioning or crashing for many years now, until it's hardly effective. From the original intent, it's virtually been turned off. So why is everything still so much the same? I mean, it seems like things are not any better. Maybe even worse in some ways. Well, first remember that in 5D, thoughts manifest much faster than they have here. And the closer to 5D we become, the faster our manifestations occur. And what are people thinking about right now? Fears about plagues and alien attacks and, so no wonder it's worse. These negative thought forms are being created faster than ever. So ironically, the matrix field is as strong as it ever was, and not just from the force field on the moon, but from inside. The reason we are still receiving so much signal interference and disruptive energies comes from the collective mind within the human field of consciousness, which has been so dumbed down with negative programming for so many hundreds of thousands of years that it's no longer only the matrix programming human thought, but the people, the field itself. The matrix has been slowly turned down over the past several years. So when it's off, would anyone even notice? I mean, only the most perceptive of minds could tell the difference. The reptiles are still here. They've just taken over the planet's politics and financial systems and religions and so on. Even sad to say, much of the New Age community, as they fight about who's talking to whom and what channel has the right information and who's been compromised. And so is the only one telling the actual truth. I mean, it's wild. Well, on the positive side, even from within the insanity of the collective consciousness, this lessening of the electromagnetic bands around the planet has allowed the global frequency to rise little by little. The whole quadrant is ascending to fifth density anyway, literally like moving a dial on your electronic device. That's why so many are awakening, and numerous people are seeing strange creatures, and other odd things are happening all over the place, because 3D is now overlapping with the 4D lower astral, and this would account for some of the strange anomalies happening right now. And have some of you noticed suddenly being more intuitive or sensitive to others' thoughts, or even clairvoyant or clairaudient, or any of the clairs? It's because there is no longer the same harmful interference signal. So there's more chance to tune into the pure connection of source and higher thought. So depending upon your own frequency setting, you will now have more opportunity to receive knowledge from source energy. And not only is your reception clearer and more pure, but also is your ability to transmit and to be heard by those in the higher spheres, like those on the other side, or those of your galactic families. And this is cause for celebration. Okay, first off, there is so much more to this than just the matrix being turned off. We must be able to see this from a much more scalar view. So when we consider all of this, which Earth are we talking about? Which matrix? Which density? Which universe? I know, I don't want to get too far out there, but the only way that we're going to be able to fulfill our reasons for being here is to realize there wasn't just one objective in coming here, but many. We didn't walk down onto the planet Earth to switch off the computer, but to live a human life and to do our light work from ground level and encourage others and to uplift humanity. And this is a momentous and consequential task. So, why aren't we all in a place of love and light? Well, as I hinted, because the matrix is still being maintained by those imprisoned inside. Those who lost hope years ago, hope of rescue from what the earth has become. What we call the matrix was an experiment, a mistake gone wrong, and humans have been paying the price for it now for thousands of years. Now, for us light workers and starseeds, it's a matter of convincing those who have been held captive that the jail doors have been opened and they're free. The matrix has been in control for so long that it has created an entire civilization of mind-controlled humans who are now, as a collective, including many light workers, maintaining this same frequency and these same beliefs that have limited mankind for all these thousands of years. The people themselves are mind controlled to manifest and maintain the matrix. The starseeds, you and I, have come to Earth to change the system from the inside. So let's do it. So, okay, now that the matrix is no longer as powerful as it originally was, shouldn't the awakened ones be able to slip through and live on the 5D Earth? Yes, and that's exactly what we're doing now. And many have already left the 3D Earth plane. This is what the ascension is. This is the shift, the event. This is why it's called the end times. Outside of the matrix, everything resonates in 5D. When we match that outside frequency, we are on the new Earth. It's all up to each person. This is our time. Don't allow the mind-controlled collective frequencies to have any further authority over you. Turn off the TV and other devices that decrease and diminish your own light, your own higher frequencies of love and peace. Don't allow anything to suppress your thoughts and dampen your happiness and enthusiasm for freedom. You deserve more than what this smart technology can offer. I would like to suggest to you that the promise of faster internet speeds and waves will do nothing to guide your way to a world of happiness and peace. This is why the matrix is still, in essence, alive and well and working just as it has over these thousands of years. They don't really need a computerized force field anymore if they have a planet filled with a soup of dangerous electromagnetic radiation coming from all these smart devices, interfering with the connection from source, from home. It's just trading one force field for another. Instead of being imprisoned by a computerized holographic field above, humanity is now controlled by a frequency band much more invasive and menacing than the original matrix. Why play the insane game of choosing your prison when freedom is only a breath away? So, why am I always saying that all you need to do is be happy? Well, because through a happy heart, your frequency raises and your physical body ascends and can receive higher knowledge. We receive nothing positive from maintaining the frequency of a trapped animal angry at its captors. We should ask ourselves, What good does it do to focus on the horrible things going around in our world? Well, it's a good thing to be informed and armed with the truth. But let that truth become the wisdom of forgiveness and integrate it into the love you hold in your heart. This is the only way to defeat the matrix, through destructive interference. When two frequency waves from opposite directions come together and completely cancel each other out. Holding a frequency higher than 3D can cancel out the matrix frequency. This is ascension, and this is our escape. Thanks for listening, guys. I love you. Bye-bye.